right now. Can you see it? No, you can't see it. It was a trick question. It's underneath the water. Our own sunken town. Minnewanka Landing. A few hotels. This was here the late 1800s, early 1900s. A few hotels. A few cottages. A brewery. Gotta have a brewery. Underneath us, yes. What happened? Yeah, why is this town underwater? The dams, yes. Oh yeah, these cards, they're giving away my information. Gosh, before the dams, there's 3 dams on this lake. We would have hit ground right about now where that rocky point is. There are 3 dams on this lake. The first dam was in the late 1800s. Back then, the shoreline here, super boggy, muddy, murky, very difficult for ladies in long dresses and men in fancy pants to walk along. So they built the first dam just to raise the water a tiny little bit to make a much nicer shoreline to walk on for all the fancy folks visiting back then. Which brings us to the second dam, 1912. And the 1912 dam was a hydroelectric dam for the town of Bankhead. Bankhead was a mining town. Straight ahead of us at the base of this mountain here between us and Banff was a coal mining town for the railway, 1903 to about 1926. And they needed power for that town, so they built the 1912 dam. One of the first towns in Alberta to get electricity because of the 1912 dam. Bigger than Calgary at the time, about 1,000 people lived at Bankhead. You can visit Bankhead if you drove here today. When you're leaving the parking lot, take a right and drive back towards Banff. Within 5 minutes, on your left-hand side, you'll see the lower Bankhead parking lot. Park there. There's a beautiful observation deck with a few interpretive panels you can read, and there's a staircase that goes down to the right. And you can do a 1 kilometer loop through the abandoned mining town. There's still some structures standing below. So go check it out, our abandoned mining town, Bankhead. But that 1912 dam would have been the dam that partially sunk Minnewanka Landing. And the people of Minnewanka Landing, they weren't too happy about this. They were losing their beautiful beachside resort town. So in protest, they burned our buildings to the ground. If we can't have this place, we don't want anyone else having it, so they burnt it to the ground. Which brings us to the third and final dam. You can see as we're approaching the dock here, another hydroelectric dam that we still use to this day. You're staying in Banff and Canmore, your power is probably coming from this dam here. This big rock wall all the way down to the end. Built in the early 1940s. And it was a big debate to put this dam in. This big Calgary power company, they were trying for years and years to get this dam built. And they weren't able to do so because the National Parks Act was in place, which was protecting this lake here. You weren't allowed to extract any resources from the park at that time. That Calgary Power Company, they were determined. What was that big major event happening in the early 1940s? World War II. Okay, so we have an ammunitions factory in Calgary. We must build the dam for power, for that factory, for the war. And they were able to do so with the War Measures Act in place, which canceled out the National Parks Act, and they were able to build the dam. Has anyone been to that ammunitions factory in Calgary? No, you're all honest. It never existed. And they got the dam built anyways with the War Measures Act. Yeah, those tricksters. The men were off fighting war. The women were working the jobs the men would have been working. Who was left to build this dam here? She's sleeping on the boat right now. Children, teenagers, ages 10 to 17 built this dam here. And apparently a few years ago, there was an older gentleman at the back of the boat. He raised his hand. He said, I was one of the boys who helped build this dam. Came up and he spoke on the microphone, said it was one of the best years of his life. Got out of school for a whole year, got to build the dam, got nice and strong, got to hang out with his friends by a lake, build the dam for the war, he thought. You can visit Minnewanka Landing 30 meters, 100 feet below us if you are a scuba diver. We see many divers here each year. Can you guess the best season to dive here? Not the summertime. No. Wintertime, yes. This lake is completely frozen. Why they prefer the winter is the water is the same temperature underneath the ice in the winter as it is right now. But why they prefer the winter is that's when all the sediment sinks down to the floor of the lake, and that's when it's a lot easier to see the structure is still standing below, like the 1912 dam, the popular dive site where all those buoys are over there. I think they're nuts, but whatever floats your boat. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they cut holes in the ice, you can see big chunks out, and they'll go down. Yeah. You need your high elevation diving certificate. We're at 1,500 meters above sea level, and your cold water certificate. Pretty cool. Apparently there's a toilet down there. They take pictures on the toilet. There's an old Model T somewhere. Yeah. Pretty cool. All right, my friends, do you feel more connected to the Minnewanka Valley? Yes, hopefully you do. That's my goal as a guide, is to create that connection between my guests to the park in any shape or form, in hopes that you'll go back to the various parts of the world that you're from and spread the word of how special these places are and how we need to keep them protected into the future so our future generations can enjoy them again one day. Oh wait, Carnival. Really enjoying it. Okay, just as we're getting docked here, I'm going to ask everybody to stay seated just in case there's any lumps or bumps. I'm going to jump right onto the side here and help Captain Gary dock the boat, but I just want to take this time to thank you so much on behalf of myself, Captain Gina, Captain Gary, GG, Pursuit. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your holiday. Thank you. Thank you.